Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to Suzerain, Kingdom of Rizia, where it is time we have a little chat with Cousin Rico. After months of promises and schedule conflicts, Vina and I were finally on our way to visit my cousin Rico Torres at his palace in Iza. The city's main road was straight and impossibly wide, a relic of Marcian times when the city was a major trading center. I waved out the car window to the crowds of citizens lining the road. Up ahead, the domed library of the university brought back memories, my first of happy many student years there, then of the horrifying way they'd ended. I noticed most of the people who'd come out to see us were native Rizian. Even on the streets of the city's Vezek quarter, little rock lovets. We passed the street cleaner who was rapidly trying to scrub graffiti off of the side of the building. I could just make out the remnants. They read, "House Taurus will fall." Vina didn't seem to notice. She looked lost in thought. Who was meeting us here too, right? Why do you think they wanted us here so badly? An invitation coming so soon after the Zillia incident is no coincidence. I can't even remember the last time Cousin Rico and I properly spoke. When we were children, maybe. We rode on until we reached Palace Sazon. Under Rico's stewardship, a formidable-looking iron gate had been constructed around the otherwise tranquil palace complex. His security led us through the Duke's residence, a blindingly white building with the flags of Rizia and House Torres hanging from every window. We walked up to the doors. As soon as the guards opened them, a pair of long-nosed Rizian hunting dogs raced towards us, barking. "Hey, pet the dogs!" I reached out and carefully gave each dog a pat on the head. "Bella, Bruno, sit." Both dogs properly sat at attention, still as statues. I heard the sound of boots on tile as my cousin Rico approached. He was wearing an olive green tweed jacket and a flat cap. He gave me a quick bow of acknowledgement, then knelt and kissed Fin's hand. I was struck by his transformation from a gawky, insecure teen to a broad-shouldered, preternaturally confident young man. "Welcome, my cousins. I have been far too long." I wish we were seeing each other in more pleasant circumstances." "What do you mean? An afternoon in the woods killing boars sounds like the definition of pleasant to me." "Wait, what?" Hugo appeared from behind his son, a sheepish look on his face. "Your first hunt as king. I wanted it to be a surprise." "I appreciate it, but I was hoping the four of us could have a serious conversation." "We'll have plenty of chances for that. 9/10 of this sport is waiting, after all." "Not when you have this." He turned around and showed us the K-74 automatic rifle strapped to his back. Hugo turned up his nose disapprovingly. "Isn't that cheating?" "I mean, there's only one way to deal with 30 to 50 feral hogs." "Boars are speedy bastards. You'd be surprised, Your Highness." He smirked rakishly at my daughter. "I do not like that." "We have outfits prepared for the two of you, and your choice of weapons, of course." "Nah, that'd be the sportsman. At least sportsman-like. Good old-fashioned rifle for me." Hugo smirked at his son. "You see, boy, there are still gentlemen in this world. I do wish I'd known about these plans. I've never so much as held a gun before. Come now, I'll teach you. It'll be great fun." Inside, Vina and I quickly refreshed ourselves and changed into the hunting garb that had been laid out for us. We stepped out to find two wanting jeeps. "I'll ride with Duke Rico. I have much to discuss with him." Rico nodded. An aide held the door open, and we hopped into the first car. East of the palace, the landscape quickly turned hilly and green. We were entering the Brennus Forest Estate, a private hunting ground reserved for nobility only. I turned away from the window to see Rico looking at me intently. "You must already know what I'm about to say, Your Majesty. I knew you didn't approve of the company I kept here in Isa, but to accuse them of us? That's a Freudian slip right there. Dam of terrorism. Velen has every reason to suspect Suomina's involvement in what happened, as do I. Trust me, nobody I know has a clue who is behind the Zilla attack. Light smirk formed on his face. So you did it. Okay, thank you for confirming it. Though I can't say I wasn't happy to see those Veziks get what was coming to them. Can I slap him? Can I fucking slap him, please? Heaven's sake, son, have some respect for the dead. Excuse me, Your Majesty. The point is that President Smolak's accusations are based on nothing, just his own vendetta against us. But if you want this mess cleared up in time for Zilla to be returned, I think I can help you. How? He cleared his throat. The people in my organization are loyal to me, Your Majesty, very loyal. If one or two of them were to confess to the attack as a splinter cell acting independently of both Suomina and the Crown, it would solve both our problems. So you're offering to commit a crime on my behalf? I'm not offering anything, just pointing out how convenient it would be such a confession occur. No. I would wish there was a more aggressive answer like "fuck you." I appreciate the gesture, but I can't condone this. Understood, Your Majesty. He winked. Fucking prick. Oh, this is more like it. That's not code, Rico. Come forth with false suspects and I'll have your head. Oh, never mind then. Rico looked away for a moment. The woods around us were growing denser. If there's anything else you'd like to bring up with your king, now's the time. Rico eagerly turned back towards me. I'm sure you've been kept abreast of the situation here, Your Majesty. The drugs, the violence, the open resistance against our government. The open resistance against you. You're not a child, Rico. Pull yourself together and become the leader this city needs. I'm trying, but I can't do it without reinforcements. I've heard that in times of emergency, police from Rizian Central Forces can be placed under individual leaders' direct command. I've petitioned your War and Security Counselor for just such a transfer, but she refused. So you're using your family connections to go over her head? Well, yes, I don't see another alternative. You understand that the city is a bellwether for our house. If we lose it, we lose Rizia. I send you the petition when we are both back home. I trust you to do what's best for our country. We pulled off the road and continued some distance on a dirt path that wound through the pines. We came to a halt at the mouth of a grassy clearing with gently sloping slides. Hunting blinds lined its perimeter. It vaguely resembled a gigantic surfing vessel. At last, enough politics talk. We disembarked and Rico eagerly unlatched the back of our jeep. Bella and Bruno hopped out and started sniffing the air. Got the scent already, my dears. Must be dozens of boars out here. The other car pulled up next to us. Hugo and Vina got out, still in conversation. So you see, Your Highness, knowing how to aim and fire a gun correctly is a useful royal skill as knowing how to hold a salad fork. Maybe with the essential difference that lettuce doesn't bleed when you pierce it. Hugo chuckled politely. He waved his son over. I've bored you enough, Your Highness. I believe Rico was going to show you the ropes. I would be delighted to, if the king permits. Hugo, I see what you're trying. Fuck no. He extended his hand to my daughter. No, I am going to escort my daughter on her first hunt. It's not my decision. Do you want to go with him, Vina? Yes, I'd love to. We didn't even get a chance to speak at the coronation. Vina took Rico's hand with a smile. He picked up their guns and walked her over to one of the blinds, dog in tow. I don't like that. Ugo shrugged. Two of us it is, Your Majesty. And an assistant handed me my rifle, a Rizian made Dator 56. It was more awkward to hold than I expected. My son may aim for quantity, but men like us know quality is key. He looked and loaded his own Dator rifle. Its stock had a gold embossed bull on it. We climbed up into the hunting blind, opposite of Vina and Rico's position. And now we played a waiting game. There was a long stretch of silence, punctuated only by the chirping of birds and the occasional bark of Bella and Bruno in the distance. I may not like Rico's hunting methods, but his dogs are second to none. He'll drive the boars out in no time. Why so can Vina and him go off together? He calmly adjusted his rifle sight. If my son and your daughter are to be married, they ought to spend time together first. Or have you seriously never considered the possibility? It's up to Vina to choose her own husband, and I doubt her cousin ranks high on the list of candidates. Her cousin once removed. Still her fucking cousin. As you know, these are interests both inside and outside this country who seek to match Rizia away from House Taurus. Consanguinity wouldn't be my first choice either, but it's the only way to keep our family in power. Keep your side of the family in power, you mean? The royal alliances can make us more powerful than blood alone. And the wrong ones will doom us to history's dustbin. As your uncle and your advisor, this is my advice. You may follow or disregard it as you choose. I really I really don't care for your advice all that much, to be honest. Just then we heard a rustling sound coming from the woods. Bella and Bruno had found their quarry. A group of boars raced into the clearing, the dogs nipping at their heels. Working in tandem, they forced their prey into the lowest part of the glade. Looking through my gun sight, I fixed my crosshairs on the group. Sure, let's shoot a boar. Don't need to miss intentionally. I mean, hunting, as long as it's for food, is perfectly fine. Hunting for sport, I mean, you can, and by sport I mean just to kill it. You don't actually harvest the meat or do anything. You're just going there to kill animals. That is bullshit. If you go out and you actually take care in hunting responsibly, and I didn't press any key. If you actually hunt responsibly and you use the animal and don't let the shit go to waste, that is perfectly fine, and it's actually an important part of conservation of certain species, preventing overpopulation, stuff like that. I struggled to keep the gun steady as it fired. The shot went wide and the boars scattered in all directions. Been too long, has it? Allow me. So if I intentionally missed, I would have hit. In one swift motion, he aimed and fired his rifle. The largest of the boars fell to the ground. As we turned away to reload, I heard a series of rapid-fire bangs coming from Rico's direction. Now, fucking prick. The reason taking an AR or any other semi-auto rifle to hunt boar is actually a good idea is because boars travel in packs, and 30 to 50 feral hog guy was right. He was hilarious, became a meme, but he was actually speaking the truth. Boars travel in packs, pretty big packs, and they are fucking dangerous. If they start rushing you, you are dead. So yeah, only way you're surviving that is when hopefully you're on a you got the height advantage and they can't get to you, and uh, if you have the ability to kill like a lot of them pretty fucking quickly. As we turned away to reload, I heard a series of rapid-fire bangs coming from Rico's direction. I looked back out at the blind to see the ground littered with dead boars. Ah, not very sporting if you ask me. By the end of the hunt, I had 0 kills, Hugo had 6, and Rico had racked up a dozen. Seriously, 0 kills? Fuck's sake. And again, this, like, killing 18 boars? That is a fucking waste. Like, you're not unless you're like giving even like this is not okay. It's not sustainable. This I don't know how large the boar population there is, but 18 boars in one trip, that is not how you practice sustainable. Unless you're like doing a culling, which can be can be important because wild boars destroy farm crops, and and from what I understand, they're actually a real problem, and and for that reason, you might have to actually cull the boar population in your area. But this is not that. This is not the case. This is a hunting reserve. 18 boars? That is way too much. He and my daughter were deep in conversation as they climbed down from their blind. Liza that. I'm telling you, if the Velen Civil War had happened while grandmother was still in power, she wouldn't have set out to the welcome mat. No, Liza would have honored Rizia and Welland's long history of cooperation and shown compassion for those who suffered. You naive little girl. Ah, yes. Great match for marriage, this. Yeah, sure. I, I was worried, but now I see that I have. I was worried she actually liked him, but now I see I have no reason to worry. Everyone in Merkapa wants what we Rizians have. The Vezek saw a chance to get it, and they jumped on it. He flung his gun on the ground in frustration. Rifle discipline, boy, you fucking. I want to punch him so much. I'm afraid your daughter didn't shoot a damn thing on today's hunt, Your Majesty. She was too busy distracting me with her nonsense opinions. Vina is your intellectual superior in every way, you twit. You will apologize to her now. He seemed to collect himself for a moment. I'm sorry, Your Highness, I must have gotten carried away. Yeah, you must have. Rico and Hugo posed for photographs next to the boars they'd killed. The assistants began packing everything away. We'll eat well tonight. The chef at Pala Sazon does an excellent braised boar with wine sauce. Rico, Vina, why don't you two ride ahead and notify the kitchen staff? His Majesty and I will be right behind you. Vina gave me a pleading look. Now why don't you go with your son, Hugo? I'll accompany the princess. Hugo raised an eyebrow. As you wish. Come along, Rico. Vina silently thanked me as Rico and Hugo departed. We climbed into the second jeep and headed back to the palace. Dinner that night was indeed delicious. I'm sorry, Vina. That must have been insufferable. Okay, Rizin Perry Businesswomen's Association highlights gender pay gap. By the way, what's on the news? NASA's Rogo Dinnerization internationalize on Palace. Kingdom surveys its lands. Mopi port expansion ordered. Added Contana's SSS monitors geopolitics. Kyiv office. CSP's investments in Nibia achieve poverty reduction milestone. Lesbia alarmed by CSP's growing influence in Merkaba. Royal visits to the Scarlet Kingbird Festival. Isa police transfer. Deny. I'm not giving that cunt any more power than he already has. Okay, every spring, the seaside town of Salabes uh, celebrated the Scarlet Kingpin Festival. Kingbird Festival, Kingpin, for fuck's sake. The vibrantly colored Sungbergs spent their winters in Xena, next the southern part of what used to be the Moser Empire. Every uh, the Moser Empire. Every spring, like clockwork, they flew back over the Gulf of Mordia to settle in Salabes. Their return was celebrated with music, dancing, and lavish banquets, opened by a speech from the reigning Duke of Salabes. It was traditional for the King of Rizia and his family to attend. The sun hung low and in the sky, and over the arena, Salabes, 100-year-old open-air venue perched directly on the beach. Vina and I sat waiting in the royal box as cameras flashed in our direction. My daughter impatiently trapped her fingers on the arms of her chair. We hadn't spoken much since Isa. Are you corresponding with Rico these days? What? No. I was about to murder him. I was about ready to murder him after the Isa trip. Look over there, by the way. She pointed to a cluster of bumbling little buildings a little further down the coastline. In the middle of it rose a spire covered in scaffolding. It looks Tasnurist. I wonder if that's the mega sanctuary you ordered to have funded. Sal was right. Everyone deserves a place to worship God in their own way. Fanfare sounded from the pit orchestra, and an announcer stepped behind the podium this year. He said the speech would be given not by the Duke of Salabes but by the heir of House Sazon. The audience rose as Manus Sazon got on stage. This was no longer the nervous young man I'd met in Port Trazon. He radiated confidence as he stepped up to the podium. Greetings, Salabians. He would be an interesting match for Fina. He waited for the applause to subside and held up a hand to the audience to listen. The entire arena fell silent. The story of the Scarlet Kingbird is a story about trust. Every year, this tiny feathered creature travels thousands of kilometers to reach our shores. He doesn't know what perils await him on the way to his destination, nor what sort of welcome will await him there, yet he flies on, because something deep within his soul compels him to do so. An inner voice that tells him, "This is your home." Is he talking about himself? Shh. Vina glared at me, then turned her full attention back to the man on stage. And what of those who wait for him? They have no idea where he's been or how he knows to navigate those exact same spots each time. Still, they gather here, scanning the skies for the first sign of his return. As if on cue, a solitary bird came flying towards us from over the horizon. Its plumage was bright red. A tear rolled down Manus's cheek. Trust, it's the only way any of this works. Even when we've been given no reason, even when our faith is tested over and over. A second bird followed, then a third. It's only when we place our trust in it's probably supposed to be one another, that we are able to find our way. The audience gasped, and the sky over our head filled with hundreds and hundreds of kingbirds, then their crimson feathers magnificently lit by the setting sun. Too much trust will get your face full of shit. I mean, the speech perfectly with the migration. What a cheap trick. No, it's actually pretty clever. A flock of birds migrating from a distant land. Where have I seen that before? Have you ever seen something this beautiful? It's breathtaking. Vina sniffled. She had tears in her eyes as well. Once the sun had set and the birds had gone to roost, we made our way to the VIP reception in the neighboring pavilion. A big band was playing jazz music as Vina and I entered. We immediately found ourselves surrounded by local officials celebrating and members of the press. I was nearly an hour before I was able to sit down. Almost as soon as I parked myself in a chair, I noticed Manus Sazon's making his way over to me. Um, that was some speech today. I see why your constituents love you. Manus smiled and bowed his head. The birds did most of the heavy lifting, but thank you, Your Majesty. Actually, I've been hoping to speak with you for a long time. So why didn't you request an audience with me? He gave me a look that was equal parts hurt and puzzled. I did, through your Grand Vizier. The message must have gotten lost. Ha! Did it now? Fucking Hugo. Since we're both here right now, Your Majesty, I know what you and your family think of me, and I know that my position in government is symbolic at best. Symbolic? Symbolic. Um, but I think we have a chance to accomplish great things for this country. Who's speaking to me right now? The heir of House Sazon or the speaker of the Rizian People's Party? The two cannot be separated. I joined the House of Delegates because of Lucas Sazon, because my father's rash act of violence robbed Rizia of the peaceful transition it deserved. The remaining Sazons and I are in agreement. Our citizens need not shed blood to be granted a voice. The remaining Sazons, including your mother? Manas traced the rim of his wineglass with his finger. I've discussed this with her. We've had plenty of time in on Kalekwabis, after all. Rizia already has the framework in place to become a true constitutional monarchy, a place where citizens have a greater say in the lawmaking process, but the royals keep their status and influence. I don't want to make assumptions, but could it be that your aims are the same as mine? What if I wanted to do away with the monarchy altogether? That would be too. Okay, let's not be too radical. That's bitten our ass more than once on the original campaign. Uh, yeah, they are, and I believe there may come a time where we can act on them. Of course, I would never presume to tell the King of Rizia how the country should be run. Just know that should you choose to lead Rizia in a more democratic direction, we are prepared to back you. I appreciate the risk you took in coming to me. It can't have been easy. Thank you for hearing me out. I agree with the idea of reforming Rizia and empowering our legislative body. It is my wish that we work together to make it a reality. Manus's eyes lit up. He smiled confidently. We can also discuss this back in the capital. We can discuss this back in the capital, Your Majesty. Come to the House of Delegates. You should have an idea how the current system works before we begin talking about how to fix it. I'll be there. With a smile, he stood up and pushed back his chair. I've taken up enough of your time. You'll excuse me, I'll freshen up my drink. He turned around to head to the bar and came face to face with Vina, who was returning to our table. Her face was slightly flushed. Oh, excuse me, Mr. Sazon. Huh. Interesting. I was going to suggest. Nothing to excuse, Your Highness. I hope you're enjoying your time in Saladas. I was just speaking to the bartender. He's still trying to get the rest of his family out of Dardia. I told him I'd see what I could do. Minos smiled warmly. That's very noble of you, but there are thousands like him, and not all of them are lucky enough to catch the Princess of Rizia in a benevolent moment. He's right. We've got to tackle this problem at the root, not by granting special favors. Vina ignored my remark. Your speech was beautiful, Mr. Sazon. Actually, it reminded me of an essay Queen Liza's from 1883. On social contracts, yes, that was one inspiration. What were the others? The band began playing Sweethearts of Venice City, an upbeat tune that had recently reached us from Arcasia. You know what? Tell me after this dance. Ah, how adorable. She took a step closer towards Manus and extended a hand to him. He looked at me questioningly. You don't need my permission. Have fun out there. Vina beamed. Minas took her hands and rose from his seat. Wait, this is faster than the dances I've been learning. Do you know the steps? As a matter of fact, I do. I'll walk you through it. He led Vina out onto the dance floor. Clamors flashed as the two of them started dancing. I'm sure they did. I wonder if the photographers were capturing the look in my daughter's eyes. It was the same one her mother had given me during our first dance together. Aw. Okay, now they have to. Now they have to end up together. Come on. But that is going to be it for this episode. Thank you all so much for, well, thank you all for watching. That was the word I was looking for. Thank you all for watching. As always, I have been Pope. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. I will see you all next time.